Jake Morrison floated outside the human ship called Starbound. His thick space suit made him look like a big white balloon with arms and legs. He held a wrench in one hand and a small welding tool in the other. The stars looked like tiny diamonds scattered across black cloth around him. Jake was fixing a broken part on the ship's outside wall. It was not exciting work, but someone had to do it. He had been doing this job for 3 years now. Most people thought his work was boring. Jake did not mind. He liked solving problems with his hands. The Starbound was exploring this part of space for the first time. They were looking for new planets and maybe new friends among the stars. Jake's job was to keep the ship running so they could keep exploring. As Jake worked, something caught his eye. Far away, he saw a small shape floating in the darkness. It was not a rock or a star. It looked like a ship, but it was spinning slowly and not moving forward. Jake stopped working and looked closer. The ship was strange. It was made of what looked like green glass or crystal. It sparkled in the light from distant stars. Jake had never seen anything like it. He pressed a button on his suit to talk to the ship. "Captain Hayes, this is Jake. I see something out here. It looks like a ship, but it's not moving." "Right," Captain Lisa Hayes answered quickly. "What kind of ship, Jake? Is it dangerous?" Jake looked at the crystal ship again. It was small, maybe big enough for 1 or 2 people. "I don't think so, Captain. It looks broken. And it's beautiful. Like it's made of green glass." There was quiet for a moment, then the captain spoke again. "Come back inside, Jake. We'll look at it from here." But Jake could not stop looking at the crystal ship. Something about it made him feel worried. If there was someone inside, they might need help. The ship was spinning and looked hurt. "Captain," Jake said, "I think someone might be in trouble over there. Can I go look?" "Absolutely not," Captain Hayes said firmly. "We don't know what that is. Come back now." Jake understood why the captain said no. It could be dangerous. But Jake could not shake the feeling that someone needed help. He looked at the crystal ship again. One side looked broken, like something had hit it hard. Jake made a choice that would change everything. Instead of going back to the Starbound, he used his suit's small engines to fly toward the crystal ship. He knew he was breaking the rules, but he had to help if someone was in trouble. "Jake, what are you doing, Captain?" Hayes asked. Her voice sounded angry and worried. "I'm sorry, Captain, but if someone is hurt over there, I have to try to help them." Jake flew carefully toward the strange ship. As he got closer, he could see it was even more beautiful than he thought. The green crystal walls seemed to glow with their own light. But he could also see the damage. A big hole was torn in one side. Jake found a way to get inside through the hole. His suit's light showed him a small room filled with strange controls that looked like they were made of crystal too. Everything was quiet and cold. Then Jake saw her. A young woman was lying in what looked like a glass box. But she was not human. Her skin was pale green and seemed to shine softly. Her hair was long and white like snow. She wore clothes that looked like they were made of silver threads. The glass box was clearly some kind of sleeping chamber, but red lights were flashing around it. Jake did not understand the alien writing, but he could tell something was very wrong. The woman looked like she was dying. Jake's heart started beating fast. He had found exactly what he feared. Someone who needed help, and he had no idea how to help her. He looked at the controls around the sleeping chamber. They were nothing like human machines. But Jake was good at understanding how things worked. He could see that some crystal pieces were broken and sparking with weak light. Jake tried to think. The flashing red lights probably meant danger. The broken crystals probably controlled the sleeping chamber. If he could fix them, maybe he could save her. Jake carefully took out his tools. He had never worked on alien technology before, but machines were machines. Things that were broken needed to be fixed. He found wires that looked similar to human wires, just made of crystal instead of metal. Some were broken. Jake carefully connected them back together. He used his welding tool very gently to fix cracks in the crystal controls. After 20 minutes of careful work, the red light stopped flashing. The sleeping chamber began to glow with a soft blue light instead of the angry red. The alien woman's eyes opened slowly. They were bright blue like Earth's oceans. She looked confused and scared at first. Then she saw Jake in his space suit, and her eyes went wide. Jake held up his hands to show he was friendly. "It's okay," he said, even though she probably could not understand him. "You're safe now." The woman touched something on her silver clothes. Suddenly, Jake could hear her voice in his helmet, speaking perfect English. You saved me," she said. Her voice was soft and musical. "Who are you? Why did you help me?" Jake felt embarrassed. "I'm just Jake. I fix things. You looked like you needed help." The woman sat up slowly in her sleeping chamber. Tears began running down her green cheeks. "Just Jake who fixes things," she repeated. "You do not know what you have done. You have saved the life of Queen Zara of the Vixari people. I owe you everything." Jake scratched his head through his helmet. A queen. He had just saved an alien queen. This was going to be hard to explain to Captain Hayes. Queen Zara sat in the medical room of the Starbound. Dr. Ryan Foster had checked her 3 times already, but she seemed perfectly healthy. Her green skin glowed softly under the lights, and her white hair fell like silk around her shoulders. Jake stood nearby, feeling very uncomfortable. Zara had not stopped thanking him since they brought her aboard 2 days ago. Every time he walked past her, she would bow deeply and say things like, "Most honored savior and bearer of my life." "Det. Please stop doing that," Jake said for the 10th time that morning. "I just helped you. Anyone would have done the same thing." Zara looked shocked. "Anyone would have risked their life for a stranger. Your people must be very noble." Jake laughed. "We're not noble. We just help people when they need it. It's normal." Dr. Foster watched this conversation with interest. He was a smart man who loved learning about new things. "Jake, I don't think you understand. The Vixari have very strict rules about honor and debt. When someone saves your life, you owe them everything." "That's crazy," Jake said. "I don't want her to owe me anything. I just wanted to help." Zara spoke quietly. "In my culture, when someone saves your life, you must serve them until you can repay the debt. It is the most important law we have." Jake felt even more uncomfortable. "Serve me like a servant? No way. You're a queen." "I was a queen," Zara said sadly. "Now I am your life debtor. It is the way." Captain Hayes entered the medical room. She had been talking to Earth Command about what to do with their royal guest. Zara, we've been trying to contact your people, but we can't find any Vexari ships in this area. Zara's face became very sad. You will not find them. My Uncle Velter and the military took control when they thought I was dead. They probably told everyone I died in an accident. What kind of accident? Dr. Foster asked. Zara looked down at her hands. The kind where someone tries to kill you. My family ruled for 1,000 years, but some people wanted change. They thought we were too soft, too willing to make peace with other species. Jake felt angry. Someone tried to murder you because you wanted peace. Yes, General Korthek said my family was weak. He said the Vexari should rule the galaxy, not make friends with it. Zara's voice became stronger. I escaped in my personal ship when they attacked the palace, but they damaged my sleeping chamber. I would have died if you had not found me. Amy Clark, the ship's communications officer, came into the room. She was carrying a tablet with lots of information on it. I've been reading about Vexari culture, she said. The life-debt thing is real. It's been part of their society for thousands of years. Can't we just ignore it? Jake asked hopefully. Amy shook her head. Not really. To the Vexari, breaking a life debt is worse than murder. It goes against everything they believe. Zara nodded. Amy speaks truth. Until I can properly repay Jake, I must serve him. It is not choice. It is who I am now. Jake sat down heavily in a chair. This was not what he wanted. He had just tried to help someone, and now he had an alien queen following him around, calling him master and bowing every 5 minutes. Over the next few days, Zara tried to learn about human culture by watching Jake work. She followed him everywhere. When Jake fixed a broken door, Zara handed him tools. When Jake ate lunch, Zara stood nearby in case he needed anything. This is weird, Jake told his friend Tony Martinez, the ship's pilot. They were eating dinner in the small cafeteria while Zara stood at attention behind Jake's chair. I think it's kind of cool, Tony said. You have your own personal alien queen. She's not my queen, Jake said quickly. And I don't want a servant. I want her to be normal. Zara spoke softly. I can hear you, Jake. If my presence bothers you, I can stand farther away. Jake turned around to look at her. That's not what I meant. I want you to sit down and eat with us. Like a friend. Zara looked confused. Friends do not owe life debts. Maybe not where you come from, Jake said. But here, friends help each other because they want to, not because they have to. Jake patted the chair next to him. Sit down, please. Zara looked very uncertain, but she sat down. Jake pushed half of his sandwich toward her. Try this. It's peanut butter and jelly. Very human food. Zara carefully took a small bite. Her blue eyes went wide. This is wonderful, sweet and sticky. Exactly, Jake laughed. See, this is how humans share. We give each other good things because it makes us happy. For the first time since Jake had rescued her, Zara smiled. It was a beautiful smile that made her whole face light up. Captain Hayes watched from across the room. She had been worried about having an alien royal on her ship, but Jake seemed to be handling well. The man had a gift for making people feel comfortable. But their peaceful time was about to end. Amy Clark came running into the Cafeteria with her tablet. Captain, we have a problem. 3. Vexthari ships just appeared on our sensors. They're coming this way fast. Zara stood up quickly, her face pale. They found me. Are they here to rescue you? Captain Hayes asked. Zara shook her head. If my uncle sent them, they are here to make sure I stay dead. They cannot let me live to claim my throne. Jake stood up too. Then we don't let them take you. Jake, don't, Captain Hayes said carefully. We can't fight 3 alien warships. We don't fight them, Jake said. He was thinking hard. We talk to them. Zara, do your people respect strength? Yes, above all things. What if we show them that humans are strong because we protect people who need help? What if we make them respect us? Zara looked at Jake with wonder. You would risk your ship and your crew for me, even though you gain nothing. That's what friends do, Jake said simply. Captain Hayes looked at her crew. They were scared, but they trusted Jake. Okay, Jake, what's your plan? Jake smiled. We're going to teach some aliens about human stubbornness. The space station called New Haven looked like a giant metal flower floating among the stars. Its 5 arms reached out in different directions, each one filled with shops, homes, and offices. Ships from many different worlds came here to trade and talk. Jake stood at a big window in the station's main area, watching the Vexthari diplomatic ship dock. It was much bigger than Zara's small crystal ship, and it looked like a palace made of green and gold glass. I do not want to see him, Zara said quietly. She stood next to Jake, but she seemed smaller now, like she was trying to hide. Your uncle? Jake asked. Yes, Velter was always jealous of my father. When I was little, he would tell me I was not strong enough to be queen. He said the Vexthari needed a warrior leader, not a peacemaker. Jake looked at her serious face. What do you think? I think peace is harder than war, Zara said. Anyone can break things. It takes real strength to build them. Station Commander Nathan Price walked over to them. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes, but he looked worried. They're asking for Queen Zara, they say. She must return to her people immediately. And if she says no? Jake asked. Commander Price looked uncomfortable. They have 3 warships. We have defense weapons, but not enough to fight them if they get angry. Jake felt frustrated. This was exactly what Zara had been afraid of. Her uncle was using fear to get what he wanted. A few minutes later, Ambassador Velter entered the station's meeting room. He was tall like Zara with the same green skin and white hair. But where Zara seemed gentle, Velter looked cold and hard. His clothes were covered with gold decorations that showed his high rank. With him came 4 Vexthari soldiers in crystal armor and a woman in diplomatic robes. Jake noticed they all looked at Zara like she was a child who had run away from home. Niece, Velter said in a voice like ice. You have caused much worry. Come, we will return home now. I cannot return, Zara said. Her voice was steady, but Jake could tell she was scared. I have a life debt to fulfill. Velter looked at Jake like he was looking at an insect. This human, he is nothing. A simple worker. Your debt can be paid with gold and jewels. Uncle, you do not understand human culture. Jake saved my life when he gained nothing from it. This debt cannot be paid with treasure. Velter's face became angry. You forget. Yourself, child, you are Vixthari. Royalty, you do not serve aliens. Jake had been quiet during this conversation, but now he spoke up. She's not serving me, she's my friend, Velter laughed, but it was not a nice sound. Friend, humans and Vixthari cannot be friends. We are too different. You are young and simple, we are ancient and wise. If you're so wise, Jake said, getting angry. Why are you threatening a space station full of peaceful people? I threaten no one, Velter said smoothly. I simply came to collect my lost niece. Kelly Brooks, the station's head diplomat, tried to calm things down. Perhaps we can find a solution that makes everyone happy. Ambassador Velter, what if Queen Zara stayed here for a short time to finish her cultural exchange? There will be no cultural exchange, Velter said firmly. Zara will return now, or I will take her by force. Jake stepped forward. He was not as tall as the Vixthari, but he looked Velter right in the eyes. You're not taking her anywhere. She doesn't want to go. The Vixthari soldiers reached for their weapons, but Velter stopped them with a small hand gesture. Brave words from someone whose people have only just learned to travel between stars. What could you possibly do to stop us? We could fight, Jake said simply. We could make you fight for every room of this station. We could make it cost you so much that even if you win, you lose. Velter looked surprised. You would die for someone who is not even your species. If I had to, Jake said, that's what friends do. Zara moved to stand next to Jake. Uncle, this is why my people lost their way. You think strength only comes from weapons and fear, but Jake has shown me a different kind of strength. The strength to help strangers, the strength to do what is right even when it is hard. Foolish girl, Velter said. Your father filled your head with these weak ideas about peace and friendship. Look where it got him. Look where it got your mother and your brother. Zara's face went very pale. You killed them. General Korthax killed them, Velter said, without emotion. I simply did not stop him. They were too weak to lead our people into the future. Jake felt sick. Velter had helped murder his own family. Jake looked around the room and saw that everyone else felt the same way. Even the Vixthari diplomat looked shocked. You are a monster, Zara said quietly. I am a realist, Velter replied. The galaxy is dangerous. Only the strong survive. Your father's peaceful ways would have made us slaves to stronger races. No, Zara said, and her voice was getting stronger. My father's ways would have made us friends with other races. We would have been stronger together. Jake watched Zara as she spoke. This was not the scared young woman he had rescued. This was a queen finding her voice. You want to know about real strength, Uncle? Zara continued. Real strength is Jake risking his life for a stranger. Real strength is Captain Hayes bringing me aboard her ship, even though it could cause problems. Real strength is this entire station willing to protect me even though they barely know me. Velter looked around the room. Jake could see that other people had gathered to watch. Humans, aliens from different worlds, even some of the station's security forces. They were all listening to Zara speak. These people have shown me what true leadership looks like, Zara said. Leader serves their people, not the other way around. A leader builds bridges, not walls. A leader protects the weak, not destroys them. Pretty words, Velter said, but words will not save you when General Korthax comes for you. And he will come. You are the last heir to the throne. As long as you live, his rule is not secure. Zara lifted her chin. Hi, then let him come, but I will not hide anymore. My people deserve better than a tyrant and a murderer. Velter's eyes became very cold. You choose this human over your own blood, over your own people. I choose what is right over what is easy, Zara said. Jake taught me that. Jake felt proud of Zara, but also worried. She was being very brave, but Velter still had those warships outside. Velter turned to leave, then stopped. You have 3 days to reconsider, niece. After that, I will take you back by force. This human and his friends cannot protect you forever. After Velter left, the room was quiet for a long moment. Then Commander Price spoke. Well, that could have gone better. What do we do now? Kelly Brooks asked. Jake looked at Zara. She looked tired but determined. We help her take back her throne. Jake, Commander Price said gently, we can't start a war with the Vexthari Empire. We're not starting a war, Jake said. We're ending one. Zara's people are suffering under a dictator. If we help her, we could save millions of lives. Zara looked at Jake with wonder. You would do that? Fight for people you have never met? That's what friends do, Jake said again. Besides, someone has to show your uncle what real strength looks like. The planet Crystallis Prime looked like a giant jewel floating in space. Its surface was covered with cities made of green and blue crystal that reached toward the clouds like fingers. But as Jake looked down from the small ship's window, he could see that something was wrong. Many of the crystal towers were dark and smoke rose from several areas. It used to be more beautiful, Zara said. Sadly, she sat next to Jake wearing simple clothes instead of her royal robes. When I was a child, the whole planet would glow at night. Now look at it. Jake could see military ships flying around the planet like angry wasps. Crystal cities that should have been full of light looked gray and lifeless. Captain Hayes spoke from the pilot's seat. The resistance contact should meet us at the old mining station. Are you sure we can trust them? Kira Ev was my childhood friend, Zara said. If anyone remained loyal to my family, it would be her. Their small ship was borrowed from New Haven Station. Commander Price had not officially given them permission to come here, but he had not stopped them either. Jake suspected the commander wanted them to succeed, even if he could not say so out loud. Ben Cooper, the young engineer who had volunteered to come with them, checked his tools for the 10th time. I still can't believe we're doing this. A maintenance crew trying to overthrow an alien government. We're not overthrowing anything, Jake said. We're just helping Zara get back what was stolen from her. Grace Turner, the ship's medic, looked up from her medical supplies. The resistance message said they have wounded. I'll do what I can, but I've never treated Vexthari injuries before. You'll figure it out, Jake said confidently. You always do. The mining station was old and mostly abandoned. It sat on the edge of a crystal forest, hidden from the military patrols that flew over the cities. When they landed, Jake could see why the resistance had chosen this place. The old tunnels would be perfect for hiding. Kira Ev met them at the entrance. She looked like Zara, but her green skin was darker and she had scars on her face and arms. Her clothes were torn and dirty, and she carried a weapon. That looked like it was made of focused light. My queen, Kira Eth said, bowing deeply. To Zara. We thought you were dead. I almost was, Zara said. Then she gestured to Jake. This is Jake Morrison, the human who saved my life. These are his friends. Kira Eth looked at Jake with curiosity. The human who cost General Corthax sleep. He speaks of you often and not kindly. Good, Jake said. That means we're doing something right. Kira Eth led them into the tunnels. The walls were lined with crystal that gave off a soft light, making everything look like they were walking through dream. Soon they reached a large underground chamber filled with Vexthari people. Jake was shocked by what he saw. These people looked nothing like the proud, strong aliens he had imagined. They were thin and tired. Many had injuries. Children clung to their parents and stared at the strangers with big, frightened eyes. This is what Corthax calls order, Kira Eth said bitterly. Anyone who speaks against him disappears. Anyone who asks for the old ways is arrested. Families are broken apart to prevent rebellion. Zara walked among her people, touching hands and speaking softly. Jake could see tears in her eyes as she listened to their stories. An old Vexthari man approached them. His name was Elder Thane, and he had been an advisor to Zara's father. My queen, we are grateful you live. But I fear it may be too late. Corthax grows stronger every day. His ships control the skies and his soldiers control the cities. What about the palace? Zara asked, heavily guarded. Thane said, Corthax has made it his fortress. No one gets in or out without his permission. Jake had been listening to all of this while studying a map of the crystal city. What if we don't try to fight our way in? He said, what if we just turn off the lights? Everyone looked at him strangely. Turn off the lights? Kira Eth asked. Jake pointed to the map. Every building needs power, right? Even crystal palaces. Where does the power come from? Elder Thane moved closer to the map. The great crystal deep beneath the palace. It has powered our city for 1,000 years. And if something happened to it, the entire palace would go dark, Thane said. Slowly, the defense systems, the communication arrays, everything would stop working. Ben Cooper understood what Jake was thinking. You want to sabotage their power source. Not sabotage, Jake said. Just turn it off for a while. Like flipping a light switch. Zara looked at the map too. The tunnels beneath the palace are very old. They were built when my ancestors first came to this world. Most people have forgotten they exist. But you remember? Jake asked. Zara smiled. I used to play in them as a child. I know every passage. Over the next few hours they planned their mission. It was dangerous and probably crazy, but it was also simple. Jake liked simple plans. While Kira Eth and the Resistance created a distraction in the city, Jake, Zara, and Ben would sneak into the palace through the old tunnels. Grace would stay with the Resistance to help the wounded. The tunnels were even older than Jake had expected. The crystal walls were covered with ancient writing and pictures that told the story of the Vexthari people. Zara moved through them like she had walked these paths yesterday. Here, she whispered, stopping at a section of wall that looked the same as all the others. She pressed her hand against a crystal. Symbol and part of the wall slid aside. Silently, They were now inside the palace. Basement, Jake could hear footsteps and voices above them. Soldiers were everywhere, but they were all looking outward for threats, not inward. The great crystal was exactly what Jake had expected and nothing like it. At the same time, it was huge, taller than a building, and it pulsed with beautiful blue light. Energy flowed from it through crystal conduits that ran throughout the palace. "It's beautiful," Ben whispered. "It's also incredibly complex," Jake said, studying the control systems around the crystal. "These controls are completely different from anything human." But as Jake looked closer, he began to see patterns. Energy flowed from here to there. Controls regulated the flow. It was not so different from human systems, just made of crystal instead of metal. "I need about 10 minutes, Jake told Zara. "You have 5, she replied, listening to the sounds above. "I think they know we're here." Jake worked faster than he had ever worked before. He did not try to break anything, just redirect the power flow. If he did it right, the palace would go dark, but the crystal would not be damaged. "Done," he said just as they heard soldiers running toward their location. Jake flipped the improvised switch he had created. The great crystal's light dimmed to almost nothing. Throughout the palace above them, lights went out and security systems shut down. In the darkness, they heard shouting and confusion. Jake smiled. "Now we go find your throne room." Moving through the dark palace was easier than Jake had expected. The soldiers were running around with emergency lights, trying to figure out what had happened. In the confusion, 3 people moving quietly could go almost anywhere. The throne room was a huge chamber with crystal walls that reached up into shadows. In the center sat General Corthax on a throne that had once belonged to Zara's father. Corthax was surrounded by guards with light weapons, but they were all facing the main entrance. No one expected threats to come from the servant passages. Jake's plan was working perfectly. As Zara stepped into the throne room, emergency lighting suddenly came on. Corthax was sitting calmly on the throne, smiling. "Welcome home, little princess," he said. "I was wondering when you would come to visit." Jake stood very still as 20 Vexthari soldiers pointed their crystal weapons at him. Zara and Ben. The emergency lights cast strange shadows across the throne room, making General Corthax look like a monster from a nightmare. "Did you really think your little human tricks would work against me?" Corthax asked. He was a big Vexthari with dark green skin and scars across his face. "I have been planning for this moment since the day you escaped." Zara stepped forward, no longer trying to hide. "This is my father's throne, Corthax. You have no right to sit there." "Rights?" Corthax laughed. "I have the right of strength. Your father was weak, and weakness does not deserve to rule. My father brought peace to our people for 30 years, Zara said, her voice growing stronger. "How many have died in the month since you took power?" "Enough to secure order," Corthax said coldly. "Order that your pet human has now disrupted." Jake had been quietly looking around the room while they talked. The emergency power was coming from somewhere else. Not the great crystal. Corthax had backup systems that Jake had not known about, but Jake also noticed something else. The soldiers looked tired and nervous. Some of them kept glancing at Zara when They thought Korthax was not looking. You know what I think, Jake said. Suddenly, everyone turned to look at him. I think you're scared. Korthax's eyes became angry. What did you say, human? You heard me. You're scared of a 20-year-old girl. That's why you need 20 soldiers just to feel safe around her. I fear nothing, Korthax growled. Really? Then why don't you let your soldiers decide who they want to follow? Let them choose between you and Zara. If you're such a great leader, they'll pick you, right? Korthax stood up from the throne. My soldiers follow me because I am strong. No, Jake said. They follow you because they're afraid of what you'll do if they don't. That's not strength. That's just being a bully. One of the soldiers, a young female, lowered her weapon slightly. General, perhaps we should listen to what the queen has to say. She is not queen. Korthax snapped. I am ruler now. You are a murderer, Zara said clearly. You killed my family. You destroyed our traditions. You turned our people into slaves in their own homes. The soldier who had spoken looked shocked. General, is this true? It is necessary, Korthax said. But Jake could hear doubt in his voice. Now, sometimes leaders must make hard choices. Murder is not a hard choice, Zara said. It is the easy choice for someone too weak to find a better way. More soldiers were looking uncertain. Now Jake could see that Zara's words were having an effect. I offer you a different way, Zara continued speaking. To all the soldiers. Not rule through fear but leadership through service. Not strength that crushes others but strength that lifts them up. Pretty words, Korthax said, but what can you offer them? You are just a child with no army, no ships, no power. She has something better, Jake said. She has friends. At that moment the throne room's main doors burst open. Captain Hayes ran in with Tony Martinez and several other humans from the Starbund. Behind them came Kira Eth and Elder Thane with dozens of resistance fighters, but that was not all. Behind the resistance came hundreds of ordinary Vexthari people. Workers, merchants, teachers, families with children. They had left their hiding places and come to the palace. How? Korthax asked, looking shocked. When the power went out, your communication systems failed, Captain Hayes explained. The resistance sent messages throughout the city. They told everyone that their queen had returned. Jake smiled. Turns out when people aren't afraid anymore, they remember what they really want. The soldiers in the throne room looked around nervously. They were greatly outnumbered now, and many of the faces in the crowd were people they knew. Family members, friends, neighbors. Lay down your weapons, Zara said gently to the soldiers. I do not want to fight my own people. You were following orders. I understand that. One by one, the soldiers began lowering their weapons. The young female soldier was the first to kneel. My queen, she said. Forgive us. We thought you were dead. Soon all the soldiers had knelt except for a few who remained loyal to Korthax. The general looked around the room with rage and desperation. This is not over, he snarled at Zara. There are still those who believe in strength over weakness. Then they are welcome to leave, Zara said calmly. I will not rule through force the way you did. Korthax and his remaining loyal soldiers backed toward a side exit. You will regret this, mercy, little girl, when your soft ways bring ruin to our people. Remember that I warned you. After Corthax left the throne room, erupted in celebration, people were crying and laughing and hugging each other. Children who had been hiding for months could finally come out and play. Zara walked slowly to her father's throne, but she did not sit down. Instead, she turned to face her people. I am not the same person who fled this palace, she said. I have learned much about leadership from watching my human friends. A true leader does not sit above their people, they stand with them. Elder Thane approached with something in his hands. It was a crystal crown that sparkled with inner light. Your father's crown, my queen. It has waited for your return. Zara took the crown, but she did not put it on her head. Instead, she handed it to Jake. Jake backed away quickly. Oh no, I'm not wearing that. I don't even look good in baseball caps. Zara laughed, and it was the happiest sound Jake had heard in weeks. I do not want you to wear it, silly human. I want you to place it on my head. In our culture, the person who crowns the ruler shares in their power. I don't want any power, Jake said firmly. I know, Zara said. That is exactly why you should have it. Jake took the crown carefully. It was surprisingly light and warm too. The touch. As he placed it on Zara's head, the crystal began to glow brighter. The crowd cheered so loudly that Jake thought the crystal walls might crack. Later, after the ceremonies and celebrations had ended, Jake found himself alone with Zara. The palace garden. The great crystal was working again. Jake had turned it back on, and the crystal flowers around them glowed softly in the evening light. So, Jake said, sitting on a crystal bench, I guess your life debt is paid now. You saved your whole planet. Zara sat next to him. Actually, I think my debt is deeper now than ever. How do you figure that? You did not just save my life, Jake Morrison. You saved my soul. You taught me what it means to be truly strong. You showed me that the best leaders are those who serve others. Jake felt embarrassed. I didn't teach you anything. You knew all that stuff already. You just needed to remember it. Zara smiled. Perhaps, but I would never have remembered without your example. She reached into her robes and pulled out a small crystal that pulsed with gentle light. This contains the recorded wisdom of my ancestors going back 1,000 years. I want you to have it. I can't take that, Jake said. It belongs to your family. You are my family now, Zara said. Simply. Not by blood, but by choice. That is even stronger. Jake took the crystal carefully. What am I supposed to do with ancient alien wisdom? Share it with your people. Learn from it. Add your own wisdom to it. Zara's eyes sparkled with mischief. I have already started a new section called the Jake Morrison Teachings on Leadership Through Friendship. Jake groaned. Please tell me you're joking. I am completely serious. Your way of thinking is already spreading throughout Vixthari society. People are calling it the Morrison Doctrine. That's terrible. Can't you call it something else? Like, I don't know, the nice guy rules. Zara laughed. Too late. The name has already stuck. A few days later, Jake stood on the bridge of the Starbound as they prepared to leave Crystallis Prime. Through the view screen, he could see the crystal cities glowing brightly again. The planet looked healthy and alive. Message coming in from Queen Zara, Amy Clark announced. Jake sighed. Even though he was leaving, Zara sent him messages every day. Usually they were updates about her planet's recovery, but sometimes they were just to say, "Thank you again." "Let me guess," Jake said. "She wants to thank me for something." Amy smiled. "Actually, this one is different. She's thanking you for showing her people that friendship between species is possible. She says the Vexthari have decided to apply for membership in the Galactic Peace Alliance." Captain Hayes looked surprised. "The Vexthari have been isolationists for centuries." "Not anymore," Jake said, looking at the glowing planet below. "Turns out they just needed the right queen." As the Starbone jumped to hyperspace, carrying them back to human territory, Jake felt good about what they had accomplished. He had not set out to change the galaxy. He had just wanted to help someone who needed it, but maybe that was the point. Maybe the biggest changes started with the smallest acts of kindness. Jake's communicator beeped with another message from Zara. This one was short. "Thank you for being my friend, Jake Morrison. The debt I owe you can never be repaid, but I will spend my life trying to pass on what you taught me." Jake smiled and typed back, "That's what friends do. Now stop thanking me and go rule your planet. I'll see you soon." And he meant it, because that's what friends do for each other. They help when help is needed. They support each other's dreams, and they never stop believing in each other, even if one of them happens to be an alien queen with a really bad habit of saying thank you too much.